Welcome to Cryptocurrency, a podcast by smart women smushing everything crypto and blockchain into busy mom lives, ensuring the where, how, and what we're learning so you don't have to waste your precious time asking questions. Anything discussed in the podcast is not financial advice, and as with everything parenting, do your own research.
All right. For today's podcast, this is Jen and Hannah, and we are coming to you so very live for this episode of Cryptocurrency because holy shit. I feel like, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but like, I feel like my life is complete and utter chaos right now. Like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I am feeling like all of my best laid plans. I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do today. And it's going to look great. And I'm going to get all this stuff done. And then like everything goes sideways. I'm totally overwhelmed. By the end of the day, week, month, I'm like, what just happened to last month? Like, it's just, everything is moving so fast and I feel so chaotic right now. Most of my friends are feeling the same way. Like I'm just, it's been overwhelming and chaotic.
Might be the realest episode that we ever do.
Yes. For real.
Because like the real, like we're gonna get real,
like real, like
yeah,
like we said real prior to now, but this is a real.
Yeah, it's gonna hit the fan here in a second. Get ready. So, you know, like we're moms, all three of us. Mm-hmm. Suzanne's in the background, you know, making sure that we stay on task because
she's trying.
Let's be real. We need help with that. And it's, you know, the last couple years have been crazy. I think that, you know, goes unsaid, but I'm going to say it anyways. Just been a rough couple years.
0 out of 10 on a pandemic. Would not recommend.
Yeah, 0 out of 10 for sure. A negative review on Yelp for sure.
Yes. For sure.
I went into it, you know, I'm pretty much an introvert most of the time, so I went into it like I've been training for this my entire life.
Same. I was like, oh yeah, I have to stay home. Oh
yeah,
bring it.
This is great. Like, you're telling me I like purposely have to avoid everyone? Awesome. But
I would hang out with you, but pandemic.
Yeah. So after 2 years of that, you know, it's kind of like, I'm kind of ready to move on. But it's been, you know, we're coming. I feel like we're kind of coming out of that in certain ways, anyways, and we're busy. Like it's spring where it's starting to be spring where I am.
Yep.
We're getting some warmer temperatures. I'm in Minnesota. So today is like 50 degrees. We've got the windows cracked a little and it just feels nice. We're out like doing things. We're busier than we were in the winter. We have activities coming up. I am more than 30 weeks pregnant, like 33, I think. Bless you. And I'm very large and uncomfortable. And yeah. It just feels like it's a lot of things are just really overwhelming right now. Like, especially, I feel like with kids, it just sort of like adds on to the whole thing. Like,
oh my gosh, right? I mean,
so it's like, okay, so being a mom, being a parent, and having responsibilities over your household, and your budget, and your family and your schedule and
meals.
Right. Exactly. You're trying to keep everybody alive and you're trying to get everybody to where they need to go at the time they need to go. And, you know, it's just, that is overwhelming in itself. Being a parent is like its own thing. And then a parent during a pandemic for the last 2 years has been ridiculous, just
Mhm.
absolutely insane. Like,
Yes.
especially for those of us that are anxious, which would be me. Um,
I wasn't anxious, and that's been my gift from the pandemic is anxiety. So that's been neat.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
So
been fabulous.
when you start to consider adding other stressful things into your life, like investing
What
in
the most volatile asset that exists.
right, you think I'm going to get into this and I'm going to make a better life for my family, which is that is my purpose. That is my goal. That is what I want to do. Um, but I could also lose a lot of money too. And that is still like in the back of my brain. It's very important to keep in mind because you don't want to forget about that. Like you want to remember the risks and you want to know your risks. How, like, I even often ask myself, like, if you look back at the past, you're like, how did I make time for that? Why did I even make this decision to get into like crypto, Web3? Like, what was I thinking? And how did I have the time to even sit down and make educated decisions about these kinds of things? So, Jen and I wanted to talk. That was a very long-winded explanation, but Jen and I wanted to discuss this because it can seem very, very overwhelming when you're coming into this, especially when you're just like, I don't have time. Like you're immediately just like throw up your hands. Like I've got soccer practice, I've got doctor's appointments, I've got a budget to make, I've got to make sure the bills get paid on time, and then I've also got to work and XYZ. So we wanted to chat a little bit about it.
Yes, because I think especially with crypto, right? Like crypto already has this super steep learning curve, which is it comes with a language that's all its own. There's all kinds of terminology that we let the developers come up with, and it's terrible terminology that doesn't make intuitive sense right off the bat. And so
To
there's
us
this,
anyways. Yeah.
yes. And so there's this steep learning curve of crypto to begin with. And then when you add that into all of the other normal things, and then like I feel like lately it's just been this additional level of chaos. Trying to fit that all in is super overwhelming. And so when I look at, okay, how did I have time? And sometimes I get really hard on myself because I'm like, okay, I haven't researched any new projects, or I have all of these projects that I want to research. And I'm like, there's just no time. And so for me, a lot of it is, okay, do I just go back to what I know works, which is dollar cost averaging and HODL? Like, do I just say, okay, for right now, I'm just going to go back to I've set up these things to just set it and forget it, right? Like I know I'm going into long term, and so some weeks, like I feel like that's the only way I make it through. Like it's been probably 2 months. Who even knows? I was going to use time, but who even knows what time is these days? Like, at one point in the past, I turned all of my notifications off on all of my crypto notifications, like Twitter and the exchange notifications, because I was like, I can't know that Ethereum is down 9% today and up 12% tomorrow. Like I, I cannot expend any bandwidth to these constant notifications, because then I felt even worse about the fact that I didn't have time, that I was already overwhelmed, that this thing that has been such a cornerstone of my current life right now, crypto and investing and what's happening, was falling by the wayside because, I mean, there's all of these other things going on, which are the normal, I'm a parent things. And then you add on teenagers, and I mean, for me this weekend, like my co-parent is having like major surgery, and like all of these things are happening. I have teenager things that are happening behind the scenes for us that have been really real and stressful. And, I've got one teen that I'm like, hey, buddy, did you want to pass all your classes this semester? And so it's like all of these things that life that you're just kind of like, okay, regular mom stuff, and then high pressure mom stuff, being pregnant, having teenagers, right? Like all of these things. It's so hard to fit it all in. And like you said, like this is probably the realest drill we're going to get. And I, I don't know how to fit it all in. For me, I go back to, what can I automate and where can I be kind to myself about, yeah, I should do more research on that project, but what does my gut say? Can I dollar cost average into it instead of maybe where I've done research on a project, I would normally do like a big purchase on it, but I'm like, okay, I want to do more research. I don't have time. So I'm going to DCA in. I'm going to do a dollar cost average, so that over the course of the next 6 weeks, I am going in at what my original investment would be, but I'm not going to do enough research. Or, when I have insomnia at 2 a.m., that's when I do my research.
I think sometimes, like, as a parent, as a mother, from my experience, like you just have to learn to like step away from things.
Yeah.
Like you have to know like your priorities. My priorities are my daughter, my husband, and my pregnancy. Like that's my priorities right now. Like
Yeah.
those are my top 3 priorities. They come before everything else.
You got me in the wrong position.
Speaking of being real, my husband's over here saying that I ranked him incorrectly. That wasn't.
He's like, for real?
That wasn't supposed to be like a 1, 2, 3. It was just. See what I'm saying? This is
equal.
This is real. Equal. This is real life. Those 3 people are the most important people to me, is what I'm saying, and they're my priorities. So,
in no
really
order.
He's probably at the bottom of those 3, if we're gonna be honest. But I think that's the way parents kind of want it to be when it comes to your kids. Anywho, thanks for that, honey. Appreciate that. You just have to you have to know what your priorities are, and if at that time you can't take your energy, you don't have enough energy for all of the things outside of those priorities, sometimes you just have to disconnect from those other things that are draining your energy for your priorities. And like lately for me, it was a long winter. It's been a really long pregnancy for me. I am not a fan of pregnancy. I don't know if I've ever said that like on the show before. I don't enjoy being pregnant. Most everybody in my family and friends group knows that, because it's a thing that just everybody knows, because I don't keep it a secret. I like to keep it real. Pregnancy is not something for me where I feel like I'm glowing and, like I don't feel that. And both of my pregnancies have been stressful. Recently I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes and a few other things that are not comfortable, and I'm not having a good time. So I obviously love my children very much, but when it comes down to it, like I want them to be healthy, and I'll do what I have to do during pregnancy to get them to that point. But it's not fun. Like I'm not having a good time. So I've actually like in the past month or so just really disconnected, like Jen had said, like turned off my notifications, because I have my investments and I believe in them. I didn't pull my money out, but I'm not doing anything additional right now because I don't have the mental bandwidth to think about it, to worry about it. to be constantly even reminded about it. Like you said, with the notifications, like, I don't even want to know. I know in 20 years, in my mind, that I made a good investment and that I'm going to come back to that and it'll be fine. Hopefully I'll come back to it way before 20 years. But for now, I just need to step away and recharge from that. So, you don't have to, we don't want to be talking about these things on this podcast or on our Instagram or on Twitter or TikTok or wherever it is that you're watching us. Like, you have to be truly devoted to this and this has to be like 100% thing. Like, we are here to help you in whatever little way you need. If you want to like listen to our podcasts and do a little tiny investments here and there when you have time and when you have money, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. You know, like sometimes you find a really great project and you just don't have the investment funds for it at the time. That's okay. Like, you don't have to, you know, jump in right away. You don't have to feel guilty about missing something when your priority is elsewhere. So the whole goal of this episode is we really kind of want to discuss like, you know, how do we find time for it all? And really, I think the answer is, and I mean, you probably agree with me, Jen, is we don't.
We
Like,
don't. We
don't.
literally don't.
Like, no one has the mental bandwidth for all the things all the time, you know? So
regardless of what it may look like on social media or, you know, the stories that they're choosing to share, I think one of the things that came to mind when you were talking, Hannah, was like, I would love for this to be everyone's permission slip that they can take a breather and you're not going to miss out. Like, we're still so early. Like, it's okay to take a breath, to step away. We're still so early, even though it doesn't feel like it, right? Like, and I had a friend say that to me, gosh, but have I missed it? Like, should I start investing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're still so, yes, you should start investing. And we're still so early. Like, it is okay to step away. I mean, like, gosh, we could probably all step away for like a year, to be honest. Like, I mean, seriously, don't or do, like, you can, right? Like, this is the permission slip of, we are still so early, and everything moves at the speed of crypto, and it feels like you're gonna miss out, but sometimes you just can't fit it all in. Like, you just can't. You just can't. And feeling that pressure to fit it all in, I think, you know, as moms, I feel that all the time. Like, I'm just a giant failure on some aspect of whether that's motherhood or lifehood or cryptohood. Like,
I mean,
I always feel like,
mom
yeah,
guilt is like the realest thing ever. And you
yes,
don't fully understand it until you become a parent or you become a mom.
yeah,
And I'm saying mom specifically because I'm a mom.
right.
But
But
like,
parent guilt, yeah,
right, like your responsibility is like raising these tiny humans, but you also, you know, have a significant other, you know, and you're trying to give them attention and, you know, like they, you know, are in a relationship with you, you know, so like you want to be in a relationship with them too, but you're also like trying to be a parent to your children as they are as well. And you have all these other relationships that you're trying to maintain, friends, family, coworkers, you know, like all these networks that you're constantly, and you just, it's difficult to not feel guilty. Like, you always feel like you're missing out somewhere. So like when it comes to crypto and investing, like, you know, I know I saw a meme that was like a picture of a toilet the other day, and the text on it said like my crypto investing chair, or like my crypto research chair or something like that. Like,
That is the most true ever. Like, yeah.
I mean, sometimes those of us with little kids, you probably don't really get any alone time in there anyways, in the bathroom. But maybe I'm hoping once my kids are older, they're not going to want to be with me every waking moment. But you know,
I hide in the bathroom a lot. Yeah.
I try, but
still they're teenagers and I'm still hiding in the bathroom.
Yeah, thankfully she's learned to knock, but she doesn't understand that, like, she's 3. My daughter is 3. And she knows to knock, but she doesn't understand that she needs to wait for permission to enter. So she'll it's basically just like a warning knock, you know, like, I'm coming on in, and you're just like, all right, well. And then dad's like trailing behind her, like, no, like, let mom have some privacy.
This is mom's 3 minutes of private time.
You know, it's part of it, right? Like, that's the way it is. But like, if you're really, you know, if you do have the mental bandwidth, you know, like as a parent, and you want to invest in cryptocurrency and you have that energy to do that, that's great. If not, that's okay. Like, you should never feel like you are failing at something because you aren't doing it. If you want to, what I find myself doing is, like, I like to watch YouTube videos and, you know, like, Instagram and TikTok and stuff, like, after the kids go to sleep, and I just kind of like to decompress that way. It's probably not the healthiest, you know. You've heard all kinds of things about blue light and going to sleep, and I don't know, whatever. But lately I've been so uncomfortable with my pregnancy, lots of different things. Like, I'm having some really intense hip pain right now, that I've been spending a lot of time in the bathtub. And I've been pretty risky with my phone, because I've been laying in that bathtub just like scrolling, trying.
More than one phone to the bathtub.
I know.
Admittedly.
Yes. So, just do it. I mean, when you can, when you're comfortable. Don't do it because you feel like you have to do it. But if you're interested and you have the mental bandwidth to take that on, then you know, just do it when you have time. You don't have to go all in. This isn't like, you don't have to make a $500,000 investment. You know, you just need to know what you're doing before you get started. And I think that's difficult for parents.
It is. And I think, I mean, truly, like, Twitter is my, Twitter and LinkedIn are my 2 curated sources. And I am also an introvert. And so my chitty chatty hours are pretty small. But I like being online and consuming that information. And so for me, it's like my insomnia hours of like 2 to 4 a.m. are when I consume a lot of news, a lot of Twitter. And I like to think that even though maybe I'm not making a purchase, I'm consuming information and intel that probably on a subconscious level, when I finally have time, maybe 3 or 4 months down the road to make a decision, something that I saw or read or consumed previously, even though it felt like I was zoning out in the moment, might be helping drive a decision that I'm making 4 or 6 months from now, about a project that maybe wasn't ready at the time, but is ready then, or whatever. Yeah, it really is. You fit it in where you fit it in. Sometimes, you know, I had a meeting where the people were late, they were running late, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can finally answer like all the texts that have been sitting on my phone for like a week. And it was great. And so I had this like really awesome, amazing 8-minute window where everybody was like, wow, Jen is crushing it. And I was like, yep, thank God for people being late today. And so like, I just did it all. And I was like, maybe they will ignore the fact that I have not gotten back to them for 4 days, because look at me now. So you fit it in where you fit it in.
I think that all parents can identify with that, like that 8-minute like freedom that you're just like, I could do anything, but I have 8 minutes and I'm gonna do 1 million. It's amazing how productive you can be when you like really
Oh my
like,
God.
this is all the time I've got to get it done.
Yes.
So yeah. But this, I mean, we just really want to make it clear in this episode that like when you see us like you know, portraying this image of being investors, you know, like we're really just muddling through it too, you know, and
oh my,
you know, we just want you to be aware that we are not trying to put on any airs here. You know, we are mothers, we are parents, we are juggling, you know, we've got like a million balls in the air at one time and they're all falling everywhere. You know,
we're on fire.
Yeah. So I mean it's just pretty much chaos most of the time. So as far we don't ever want you, our listeners, to be comparing yourselves to us and being like, well, I've got to do XYZ because, you know, that's what a good investor does, especially if you're new in this in the Web3 world, crypto world. So I think that we just want you to know that it's okay to take that permission, excuse me, if you need to step away and take care of your priorities and do what you need to do. And then find the time when you have a moment to get back into it, even if it is a couple minutes. You've probably noticed these last couple weeks, like our Instagram hasn't been like super active. I take care of most of the Instagram stuff, and you know, you just got to step away every once in a while. And that's kind of what I've been having to do lately because it's just a lot going on. So as far as this episode goes, like you're not alone if you're like feeling this overwhelm.
No, not alone. Oh
yes.
My gosh. We are in it. We are in it with you.
That's right. God. And you are still welcome in our space, even if it's quiet.
Yes. I think that's a great takeaway of we never have any expectation that our listeners have to be performing at a certain level of participation. Like, thank you for being here and for, oh man, just listening to us ramble and talk about what hot messes we are on most days. And we really hope that you just get something out of our stories and our experiences. And you know, I think it goes back to what we've always said of we just want to be the women that we wish we'd have had, up to and including I wish I would have had people who would have just said it's a lot and it's okay if you're struggling with keeping all the balls in the air.
Yeah, I agree. I think in a nutshell, you know, we just appreciate you guys being here with us. And even though things are sometimes really crazy, that I mean, we love you all for just being on this ride with us. And if you aren't like on the ride, like that's okay. Like you can still hang with us, like,
right?
You can still be our friends.
If you couldn't make it up the gangplank to get on the ride and you're curled up in the fetal position,
that's okay.
Back at the ticket taking station, also cool.
That's all right. Yeah. I'm in the fetal position just a little further ahead of you, so like it's cool. Right. So to wrap up this episode, we just want to say thanks for being here. And you know, like you can be here as often as you want, but we love you and we appreciate you, and we want the best. We want the best for you, and we hope that in some little way we are helping you out, and if that's the case, then that was our goal to begin with. So until next episode, We wish you love and luck and time alone in the bathroom.
Yes.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
That wraps up our conversation for today. If you have any suggestions or questions regarding this episode or any others, please let us know on social media. Thanks for finding the time to visit with us, and we hope to chat with you again soon here at Cryptocurrency.